All right, welcome everybody. This is my first show back. I have just made a big, huge change to this podcast, and I'm joined with the man who made it all happen last week, Steve Davis, with the GetRealWealth.com or the Real Wealth Academy, or as we're just going to call it on the podcast, Real Wealth.
Real Wealth.
Real Wealth. So I saw a guy named Robert Martinez come and make this picture on Facebook, and it was like, I'm the 2-time national apartment guru of the year, and I'm joining forces with Steve. And so I sent a message out immediately to Charlie, and I was like, I want in on that. And then you made it happen last week where we came in. So right now we're in, we're kind of, it sounds like we're at the end of the COVID. This is December the 8th.
Yes. I
December,
believe so.
December the 8th. We're recording this, so I don't know what time it is when you're watching. So last week I came up here and I spent 2 hours with the guy that made every one of my dreams financially happen. And I told you the story.
Yeah.
And I think there were some things you didn't remember that you used to say.
Yeah.
And you definitely didn't remember the story, which for those of you that don't know, then we're going to get his story. He's got an incredible story of nailing it. And that's my show, Nailed It, which is unlike the baking show where you start with this beautiful picture and then you go and try to remake it and then it looks like shit. This one is like, I start with how I always build my houses is I start with the idea on a scratch piece of paper and it looks nothing like what I actually build because it's really beautiful. So, but I just nailed it,
Yeah.
So if you would like to, we hope that you follow us, interact with us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You can find me at Urban Restoration on Instagram or Curtis Warden on Facebook. Steve Davis is on Facebook. Do you have an Instagram?
Oh yeah, it's very easy to find. Just Steve Real Wealth. In fact, all of mine, Instagram, Twitter, everything is Steve Real Wealth, and they'll be able to find me.
So you and I met back probably 2 years ago at the Astros game.
Yes.
Daryl Dyke with Noble Mortgages brought us in for kind of a customer appreciation day.
Sure.
And I saw you, and I guess you had just transitioned out of your other place.
Correct.
And you were, I guess, thinking about this or whatever, but you were interested in doing some listening to what I was doing, and you were trying to make time to spend with me and drive around and check out some of my houses. That never happened because I have a horrible schedule. And when I saw that thing happen, I was like, I need to go back up there and talk to him because you were the guy that changed my life. I sat in a room at Lifestyles for the intro meeting. Had no money at all. I had a happy shopping ex-wife, and she left me with very little money at the end of every month. Also, I wasn't making very much money. And I was wearing a nice polo shirt, button down, some khakis. My ex-wife had some nice clothes on. We show up. You were the guy that caught us to bring us in to do the mentor or the membership.
Yes.
And you
to
had to
sign up.
And I think you had to pay like $500
Yeah.
to get a weekend with you.
Correct.
And I didn't have $500. And you said, I can take $100 off. And I said, Steve, I don't think you understand. I have $250 to my name. And Steve sat back and he goes, all the symbols of wealth without actual wealth.
I was a bear at times, to say the least.
But you were so good on the radio. You were the reason why I got started. I listened to you for 6 months before I had the courage to come up and do the intro meeting.
That's a good word for it because it does take courage.
Yeah, we were just talking about that in your office before we did the podcast.
Yeah.
We'll get into that a little bit later, but so from that point till I guess today, my life has changed tremendously because of your statement. In that first intro meeting I went to, you said, maybe 4 of you, there was about 75 people. You said maybe 4 of you will actually do something in real estate. I told myself, I'm going to be one of those people. I'll do it whether or not I'm a member or not. And so I kept listening to your show every day, and I would just get these little gold nuggets. And then I was always at the Lifestyles events with my non-member name tag, because on one side you would show up and the members would get their sign in and the non-members would sign in. And Dell would always see me in the hallway, and I would catch the PIG members as they're coming out, and I go, hey, do you like being a PIG member? Did you like paying $10,000 and not getting a property? Brant and I can help you. Brant Phillips and I would stand across from each other and kind of try to get people as they would walk off. And now Brant is an influencer here at Real Wealth.
He is. He's doing very well.
What's Brant going to do?
Well, he's been very successful with mobile home parks. Very successful. I think the last deal he did in about a year and a half, he made like $800,000 or something like that off of one deal, and that he did all by himself, I believe. So he's going to start raising capital here to buy bigger ones, and I think he's going to really excel.
Tell me this: how is it going from being the face of Houston real estate for years, like everyone knew who you were, to then like changing that?
It was a bore. It was the most boring. I took 2 years off, and it was the most boring thing I've ever done. I don't know why people run around going, I can't wait to retire, I can't wait to retire. Retirement sucks, unless your life already sucks and you think that's going to be better. I think the people who want to retire, their life sucks. They're at jobs they hate. They're doing stuff they don't enjoy. They haven't found their passion. So retirement looks good to them. But if you're doing something you're passionate about, retirement sucks. It really does.
Retirement is kind of like COVID-19. At the beginning, when we were all locked down, and the government was giving you some money to stay at home, and your company was giving you money to stay at home, and everybody was miserable. Because then you realize, I'm married to the person I don't want to be with. I'm in a relationship with the person I don't want to be with. Or you're realizing, wow, this is really a good time for me to find a side hustle.
Yeah, that's what most people should have done.
Dig into some information. I told people on the other podcast that I do with Jet Lending, I always tell people it was pause, prioritize, and pivot. That's what you should have done, because this deal taught us nothing more than what is essential services and who really matters and is making this industry and this world that we know and of our little box that we live in, who's really important. It's the people that are working at the grocery stores, it's the first responders, it's people in real estate, because we hadn't stopped. I haven't stopped building, and people definitely haven't stopped needing pandemic-proof backyards, pandemic-proof spaces, areas, travel. Like, all those people are still doing fine. I'm doing fine in this industry.
Sure. Real estate is rocking. I mean, it's like you were talking about people saying, I'm not with the wife I want, I'm not in the job I want. They're realizing it. Think of how many people looked around at their house and went, holy crap, my house is a piece of crap. Look at the contractors, look at the number of new home sales. I really thought that COVID would bring down real estate sales, but they went up.
Right. I did too.
Amazing. So, yeah, I think, but the other thing that was brought to light is how risky it is to be solely dependent on a job. If your sole income is from a job, look what COVID did to you. Look what 2008 did to you. Look what 9/11 did to you. The highest, people talk about, well, Curtis, Steve, you guys take high risk, you're in real estate. Bull crap. It's lower risk than what they're doing, which is relying solely on a job for their income.
Yeah.
That's the highest risk position in the United States.
The guy, a former PIG member, just called me yesterday. He and I did 33 houses together.
Awesome.
Okay. I started with a partner, you know him, Robert Hammond.
Yeah.
He owned the pizza company, Fat Daddy's Pizza. He had done 3 or 4 flips. I met my buddy from church. His name is Jason. And he was like, hey, I work this full-time job at Shell. I'm on a project called Deepwater Horizon.
Wow.
I'm the lead designer of it, and I would like to, I want to diversify. And so he basically gave me 10% to go start finding properties and be his eyes and ears and follow Robert Hammond around. And I followed Robert around. Robert and I eventually did, I don't know, several hundred properties together where I was representing him, other people. Represented Blake Yarbrough when Blake decided to get back in.
Yeah.
I represented on Blake's first 4 deals back in Missouri City. And I did all that following your teachings. Everything that you taught us except for a couple of things. Do you remember a couple of I call these the lifestyle myths. Myth number 1 was don't ever buy a property below, I think you said 1982.
Well, that wouldn't be me.
That may have been
another guy.
Another guy, yeah.
Yeah.
But you said some things that were way out there, like still to this day, I still do. 4 sides brick. They don't make 4-sided brick houses anymore. Like you have to
3.
Yeah, it's 3 sides brick, or it's 1 front facing brick, or it's half the property's brick. But 4-sided brick houses is like a thing of the past.
Rare.
Typically. Yeah, it's more expensive now.
Sure.
You came up with that. You came up with rolling the dough, which was to take the guy's $100,000, buy a piece of property, fix it up, refi it, and then roll that dough and make your pile bigger. And you call it the snowball effect, or rolling the dough. Your other one, that must have been someone else. So yeah, I mean, in each program, you have to find your own way. Because I know that at the other place, they didn't like flipping. They didn't like wholesaling. Mm-hmm. You were trying to push the envelope and get all that.
Right.
Which I guess that's why Real Wealth Academy and why we're here today.
Yeah. I wanted to be able to help everybody. There's systems out there. If you don't have 50 or 100 grand to start with, they can't help you. Whereas here, I can help anybody. People that come in like I did when I started with bad credit and no money, I can show them how to wholesale. Or they've got a little bit of money, 20 or 30 grand, I can show them how to flip a house to generate more capital, or like you call it, rolling the dough, or the snowball effect. I like being able to help everybody as opposed to just saying, hey, if you got money, come see me. I can help you. I can help anybody.
Do you remember your first deal?
My first 2 deals I actually did without a mentor, knowing nothing about it. Made 30 on the first house, something like that. All I know is I lost the same amount on the second house. And it scared the daylights out of me. And I went back to work in corporate America until they cut my pay, and that just woke me up. And I said, I got to get back into real estate. So I started buying every set of books and CDs off late night TV I could get. I guarantee I've spent over 100 grand on books and CDs and boot camps and workshops and so on. So did that answer the question?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that you're a big believer in education, mentoring, and cell phones.
And cell phones. I do have one of those.
So yeah, it's crazy how you get started. So you were scared, just like most people out there. I was terrified, but my business partner tells me this all the time. You were too dumb not to know any better.
That is me to a T. When I bought my first 10-unit apartment complex, I knew nothing about running apartments. My dumb butt thought that if you can run single family, you can run apartments, and you can't. They're 2 totally different animals. So it took me a long time to learn it. Then I sold it for less than it was worth, by probably 300 grand, because I didn't understand net operating income, cap rates, things like that. But it was still the best thing that I could have possibly done for myself, because it got me not really over the fear. I still have fears, but it made me realize that with a little courage, you can overcome fear and do anything you want to. So it was still a great experience.
So when you transitioned out of your past life what brought Real Wealth Academy into focus for you? Like, what was the thing that was like, okay, this is what's missing in Houston, and this is what I'm going to offer? How did this whole thing come about?
I think it was a situation where the company that I was at before had moved away from helping, it's kind of what we discussed a moment ago. They had moved away from helping the average person to just helping people that already had money and perfect credit. So I wanted to put something back in the Houston market that could help everybody, because I remember what it was like. No money, bad credit. I felt hopeless. That was the worst feeling in the world that I've ever experienced. And I wanted to put something out there where people could come, and no matter where they were, good credit, bad credit, no money, with money, and be able to use real estate to build wealth and passive income.
So for someone that's not familiar with Real Wealth Academy, how do they get in? Where's their entry point?
Well, there's two ways. One is to listen to my radio show on AM 700 in Houston, AM 700 KSEV, Monday through Friday at 2 o'clock, 2 to 3. The second step is for people to attend our free sample class. That is about a 2-hour workshop that explains exactly how our coaching, our mentoring works, and so on. And they can find that at getrealwealth.com. Getrealwealth.com, upper right-hand corner, it'll say free course.
Okay. So and then there's lots of information you have on YouTube.
Oh yeah, they can find us. Search Real Wealth Academy on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and they can find videos all over the place.
So what does the next year look like for you, and what did you change when the pandemic hit? Like, how has that affected things, and where do you see this next year for you?
I see us picking up huge numbers of foreclosures as soon as the vaccine is out, as soon as they take the masks off, and we get back to normal. They take the moratorium off of the foreclosure. There's going to be huge numbers of foreclosures. That's going to increase the occupancy on our apartment complexes, and we're going to have tremendous opportunities for everybody to build massive wealth in a short period of time if they'll get off their butts and go buy some doggone real estate.
Are you believing that this is like 2007, 8?
I don't think it'll be that bad. 2008 went like that.
Yeah, because that was more of a financial crisis.
I think this is going to go kind of about halfway. I don't think it'll last 4 years. I think it's going to be about 2 years. So people need to get ready now. They need to get educated now. I talked to an individual that just basically said this to me: yeah, I'm going to watch to see what the market does, and if there is a collapse, I'm going to take courses and learn how to invest in real estate. I'm like, that is so wrong. You learn how to do it, and then when it happens, you're ready. People who wait until the opportunity is there to educate themselves, they miss half of the opportunity because they're still educating themselves. The other thing is, we're making money right now, even in the up market. I heard a deal today where a guy's flipping a house. He's going to make 80 to 100 grand. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm telling you, next year, you're going to see people making 150, 200 grand a pop.
Yeah. I got out of the speculative high-end market. What saved me last year, because I was losing my ass on those. I walked away.
The big ones?
Yeah, I wrote.
What price range?
The 750, 800. I had a listing at 850, and I think we sold it for 795 to a guy that transferred from California to Houston.
Oh yeah, to him that was a low price.
Yeah, and
so
now
you get a slum for 800 grand there.
But now he's coming back, and he wants me to put in a swimming pool in his backyard. So these people have money. They're coming here. I made a post about this yesterday. It looked like a hoarder house, and there was just shit everywhere inside of this kitchen and the living room. And I'm going, remember, before you get all excited that all these people are coming from California, this is how they left it. They left it looking like this, and now they're going,
crap.
Someone else deal with it.
Yeah.
I look at all the pictures. I see the lines of tents alongside of a highway where homeless people are. I've been to San Francisco before. It's not pretty. Yeah. It's only pretty as you get into the wine area. Napa, that's great, but I don't know. I see this high-end market. I know a lot of people are making money in it. I don't think I did it right. I think I may have bought like too much at one time. But really what slows the builder down is the city of Houston. You can have the greatest plan. You can have the best mentor. You can have everything that you want. But if you can't get your approval through the city, then you're stuck. And let's say you borrow hard money like I was akin to, because you don't have to put any money down.
Right.
You end up having to put money down.
It's just holding costs.
It's just you're paying that money every month, and you're paying at 10%, 15%, 12%, whatever you can find. I know that there's people out there that get 8% money. There's people out there offering 10% and 3 points, whatever that is.
Yeah, none of my students are going really above 500 grand, and I'm telling everybody to stay 300 and below. Just in case the dip causes you to get stuck with it, you'll be able to rent it for positive cash flow.
Or Airbnb. Depending on where you're at. So what do you see the market segment like that you mentioned apartment complexes, you mentioned 300 and below, don't go above 500. What to you is the segment of real estate, of all real estate, where do you think the person who's going to be most negatively affected is going to be when we come
Middle America, the 150 to 220 price range? I think those houses are the ones that are going to have the most foreclosures. The good thing is that's the price range for rentals. Logic says a $400,000 home will rent for twice what a $200,000 home will. Well, it won't, and it gets worse the higher you go up. So the sweet spot is that 150 to 220 house, and I think those are going to, and it may be 250, it may be 300 and below, but those are going to be the hardest hit.
I think the 150 to 220, I think you can almost say bye-bye. Those numbers, if those come out on the market, will go up quick.
Yeah.
Because you can't even buy a brand new house today. You can't build a brand new house for 200.
Yep, that's true.
So if you can't, then your replacement is to buy something used in that price point. What would you say is what's your best tip to give to someone that's getting started or a seasoned investor like myself? What is your tip?
Well, I believe in the concept of constant growth, that you're either blooming or dying. There's no coasting. So whether you're a newbie or an experienced investor like yourself, just keep reading, keep studying, keep taking workshops. I'm going to spend 20 grand, I bet, to go see Gary Vaynerchuk later this year. Not later this year, early next year. I was trying to do it this year, but it'll end up early next year. Keep investing in your education, whether it's with us or somebody else, but pick one. The best advice I can give is educate yourself first before you ever do a real estate deal, because it's so easy to make a mistake. And if you make a mistake and burn yourself like I did with those two houses, I got scared. And I got out of the market for 3 years. I lost 3 years of my life because I didn't read a book first and do it right.
Well, what did you do in the 2-year period between when you left your old organization and started this one?
Wrote classes for this organization, literally. Okay. I would be up at, and people will attest to this, they would receive emails from me at 4 or 4:30 in the morning because I was up writing.
And then where did your investment dollars go? Because I know you flipped.
Oh yeah, I flipped a bunch of houses. That's how I survived.
Yeah, because like we said, we met at the Astros game, and you were one of Daryl's big clients.
Yeah.
I think you had just closed on a deal whenever I met you.
Yeah, I'm sure. And then I sold a bunch of real estate to free up capital. So yeah, that was what I did during that 2-year period. But my main focus, what consumed my time, was writing these classes and building Real Wealth Academy.
Yeah. Then I met you last week, and you completely blew my mind. In the middle of talking about, like I said, I mentioned to Steve that I was like, hey, look, I want to come up here and somehow be a part of this. I think that there's a lot of great stuff going on. The energy when you walk through the hall is refreshing. versus some of
Good,
the
that's
other,
good to hear.
some of the other places that I've been. So I'm here in his office and I'm talking to you, and then you say to me, you stop the immediate flow of conversation, and you looked at me and shook your head, and once again you were like, why don't you own an apartment complex? And then before that you had asked me, what do you want to do in the next like year to 5 years? And I was like, I don't know, just kind of like, I'm just like free flowing. I just came into this conversation just to see where I could be a part. And you were like, why don't you own an apartment? And I was like, that's just stuck with me. And so for me, this Nailed It podcast used to be all about like high-end flipping and starting like, look at me, here's the house that I got, this is what I do, this is the team of people that help me buy, fix, sell. And now to me, this is going to be my video journal of this. I think you challenged me like, in this next year I want you to own first you started with 300 and then you backed off and went to a 200 unit apartment.
I'm going to back up to 300 because the economics of scale are phenomenal once you get above 200, 300 units. And that's what you should do. But I mean, you've done 500 plus single family transactions.
Yes. As a realtor, I did those.
Leadership, that's type of leadership is what it takes to run an apartment complex. You're not the one sitting there leasing the units. You're not the one sitting there showing the units or doing the main. You're leading the team, and you've proven yourself as a leader. That's why I think you should do it.
And you said, and when you said that, my answer to you was, I don't know. I guess I'm scared.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to do it. It's always been the boogeyman out there.
Yeah. And that I love, because if a person is not a little scared, they're going to be dangerous. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to hurt their investors and themselves. You have to have a little bit of fear, and then the courage just pushes you forward. So I love the fact that you openly admit, man, I'm a little scared. That's the way you should be.
Well, I think the difference between me 3 years ago and the me today is, I think I'm not having to prove how big my balls are.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to come out and go, look at me, I'm great. Yes, I used to sit alone at the lunch table when I was in 6th and 7th grade and be made fun of for being smart. And a lot of people, I think today, when they get a little bit, I was talking, my clients that I'm building a custom house for, $1 million house in the Heights, they're physicians. And she is a physician, and she was telling me, men in power positions, when they see a woman who's powerful, immediately go to putting down. And I said, tomorrow, what I want you to do is reframe your thought. One is this guy good looking? She goes, no, and he's 5'2". I said, okay, he's probably got a 3.5 inch penis, and he sat alone at the lunch table whenever he was in junior high. So today, he has a little bit of money and some power, and he is going to usurp that over you. So a lot of you that are listening to the podcast, the guy you see today is different because I have gotten my ass kicked in real estate. I went 10 years without ever writing a check at closing. I thought I knew the formula.
Right.
I was the god of Houston high-end investing. And then this last 2 years kicked my ass. I bought too much, thought I'd be able to sell it quick. Everything I touched was gold. Started second guessing myself. But the main thing that I did was I had surrounded myself with someone who was taking a lot of my energy, a lot of my creativity away.
Wow, that is a killer.
And I changed all of my circle of friends. In my circle of friends, I'm the person who makes the least amount of money.
That's a good place to be, because the most people, the average of their 5 friends, I always want to be the bottom of my 5 friends. I want somebody there that can help me grow. And that's what you found. That's ultimate wisdom, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's the reason why I told you today, this is full circle for me. You were where it started. You were the first introduction into real estate. I caught you after I watched the Montelongos.
Yeah.
I did a search
Flip
real
this house.
quick, Yeah, I did a search real quick. Did I tell you when I met the Monolongos?
No, huh?
I met David and Melina.
Now I know them. They're in my phone.
Oh,
I actually like both of them.
yeah, yeah.
The other brother's a little bit of a bear, but I loved that show until they started doing bogus stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I'm done watching this.
Yeah.
But she even told me that they were doing bogus stuff.
I've had dinner with her. Met both of them. They were in a hotel in Dallas, and it was an Easter weekend, and I was there with my family, and we were walking out, and they were walking, and I go, oh my gosh, they look so familiar, and then it hit me, and so I said, hey, are you David Montalongo? He goes, yes. I said, I just want to let you know something. You're the reason why I own, I think 33 houses. He goes, really? I said, yes. I said, I looked at you and your brother and the way your brother treated people. I said, I can do that better. And then I walked away.
They had to have agreed with you because he's a riot.
Well, he took my information down. They friended me on Facebook. And later on that night, he sent me private information. We started DMing each other saying, hey, look. And then they contacted me and asked me for information. Like when he first started in Alamo Heights, he asked me for some design information about bungalows because he knew that I did bungalows. Very cool guy. Now he's done like solar. He's doing custom construction. The guy's killing it. But I'm just saying, like, this world for me has been so crazy. It's been a whirlwind journey. From building houses for, I flipped a house to a Houston Astro, working and building houses for high net worth individuals. I think the one thing that you've said this entire podcast, and the one thing that's the difference between people that get into this and fail and those that get in and succeed is one thing. And that's the word I don't know how many times, if someone wants to go back and listen to it, Steve has said, help. If you design this to help other people, help everyone, instead of just helping these people who already had money.
Yeah.
When you get into real estate just to make money, you lose it really quickly.
Yeah, the focus, oh man, that's a greed focus. And the three things that kill are greed, laziness, and ego. Greed being, in my opinion, the number one killer. So if you're totally focused on how you're going to make money, it's going to be very tough. But if you focus on how you're here to help and serve other people, you'll make the money by default. That's the way it works.
I logged into my my financial account today, and I made a trade on Snowflake. I've been watching this stock, and Buffett had bought it and invested in it, so I put some money into this, and I was like, oh my gosh, I put this money into it, and I go, Steve's gonna kill me. Steve used to always use the phrase diversification.
Yes.
He's like, you talked about the golden goose that laid the golden egg. You wouldn't take your golden eggs and kind of spread them out. You put it in one bucket, and then you do everything you can
to
guard your bucket. I mean, I can't tell you how many hours I listened to you. I listened to you so much, and I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I used to get so nervous when you would walk around.
That's funny. I never realized I had that effect on people.
Well, yeah, I mean, besides your striking good looks and the fact that you were, it was like you were the guy that was the guy. I thought you were the grand poobah. As I always said, you go to the weekend event to listen to Steve. If you're a single family guy, you go to listen to Steve on Saturday, and then the next guy that follows you on Sunday is basically like, yeah, forget everything that he said. Yeah. And this is what you really need to do. And I was like, golly, this guy's an asshole.
He's a bear, to say the least.
He would look at me in the hallway, and he would go, Curtis. And he would just shake his head. He ended up buying the house from my buddy, Eddie Hovis.
Really?
That's his house, the $1 million house.
Yeah.
That's Eddie Hovis's house.
What's Eddie up to?
Eddie lives in a farmhouse that they built in like Sealy, I think. Farmhouse on Main.
I went to a meetup where he was at, and he was speaking. I wondered if he was doing mentoring or what's he doing?
He sold everything that he had, and he's gone to
A simple life.
Well, went back to oil and gas where where he was beforehand, and he's a good guy. He took me to a real estate meetup. He came to my meetup. I did this thing called I don't know. I did this thing with Marilyn Phipps. Do you know Marilyn Phipps?
I do not.
Marilyn teaches Sukasa University, which is about like wholesaling, basically for people with that speak Spanish. And Marilyn had me come in and do this introduction thing, and then she was like, "Hey, I bought this beach house in Jamaica Beach. Let's bring some people because it sleeps like 8 people. Let's bring people here for the weekend, and we charge like $1,500." And Eddie came.
Wow.
And we had.
Cool.
Yeah, we had like this big boil out, and I used to love teaching. Teaching was great, and if you...
I love it. Yeah, it's so much fun.
And just to give people like the process and like just my phone number at Sherwin-Williams will get you a long way. My phone number at Home Depot will get you a 20% discount if you're not already registered with the what is the the National RIA thing. You know, just helping people all along the way. I mean, that's what you did for me. I've tried to do that by taking the legacy that you created for me, Brant, Will, all of us guys. I mean, if you look, that's what I told you the first meeting. If you look and you said to yourself, only 1 of 4 people or 4 out of these 100 people are going to do something. I mean, some of the people that you personally influenced have influenced so many more people because you were bold enough to kind of get out there and say, "Hey, look, this is what you need to do." And you did it forcefully.
That's good to hear. Yeah, all those names I remember.
You've changed a lot of people's lives, man.
That's good to hear.
You nailed
it. Well, thank you.
You did. You nailed it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think that you're continuing to do it. I can't wait to see what happens through this shared interest in investing, watching. I'm excited for my personal journey. It's the first time I've been excited to be an investor again in a long time. Because you do it and you do the same thing that you've been doing for a while, and people tell you about, "Oh, your project looks so pretty. Oh, it's so pretty. You do such a good job." You know, and I'm like, okay, you know. And you came in, and I feel like I was stretching my legs and kind of, "Oh yeah, this is a great meeting." And you just came and went wham right in my nuts, and I was just like, caught my breath, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is." I went home, called my girlfriend, and I was like, "Never believe this. You'll never believe this. We're going to go buy an apartment complex."
She dropped the phone.
Yeah, I started telling people, and they were like, "Well, where are you buying? Do you have it under contract?" And I was like, "No, but I'm casting my vision."
Yeah, you have to. Fake it till you make it. You have to see yourself where you're going before you'll ever get there. If you don't, yeah, you've got to have a vision.
So one thing that you mentioned, this would be a caveat to what you're saying. You're saying read constantly.
Yeah,
and
read.
I am a dyslexic person. It takes me a long time to read. So if you're like me...
Listen to the CDs.
Listen to the CDs or podcast.
Or podcast, absolutely.
YouTube University has helped me tremendously. I have fixed problems with a dishwasher from YouTube. I installed a tankless, or we had installed a tankless water heater, and my warranty was already out, and my client called me and was like, "Hey man, this water heater, like we're getting hot water for 5 minutes and then we don't get it, and it's going off and on, and I don't understand, blah, blah, blah." And I YouTubed it real quick, and they were like, "All you need to do is take the filter out and change it, and you'll have hot water." Like, that 2-minute deal saved these people like $125 from going to like American Home Shield.
Yeah, it's amazing. what you can learn there. But I should have said that. I am a slow reader, not dyslexic, just slow. So what I do, you take the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Over 25 years, I've read it probably 10 or 15 times, but I've listened to it 20 plus times. The newest edition that I have actually has his son on it. It's 15 hours worth every moment. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Incredible.
Have you read the book from the CIA guy that talks about negotiating?
Yeah. Chris, I also took his master class. Chris Voss.
Yeah. Did you go to the one where Eddie brought him down?
No, I wasn't live.
Okay. I wanted to go to that. I did not go to that. I was out of town that weekend. But yeah, he came in last year and did it. I think Eddie's bringing him back again for a live.
He's fantastic, man.
Chris Voss is amazing.
Yeah.
I listened to a bunch of that. That helps you, I think, negotiate. What would you say is kind of the next? What's the next education piece that you are looking for Real Wealth?
I think commercial, and I don't want to do anything with commercial until after the COVID response is over, and maybe even 12 months after that. To look at strip shopping centers, to look at 5-6 story buildings, because I know so many people who are successful at that, but I don't know what they're doing. So I want to learn exactly what those business models entail and do some of that in the future.
I think it's interesting. You do Real Wealth Academy the same reason and the same way that I do the podcast. I do the podcast not because I know so much and let me interview you and kind of just bring in my friends. I do the podcast so that I can invite people who know more than me so that I can ask them questions.
Oh yeah, you're self-educating just by doing the podcast.
And you do self-educating by bringing influencers in that are doing things that you're not doing. Like, I know nothing about mobile homes.
Exactly.
But hey, I'm partnering myself with Brant. Now I get information about mobile homes.
Absolutely.
So, I think that, and you're probably one of the only guys that's still doing live in-person networking events.
I think so. A lot of people have gone totally digital, but my room is so big. I got a 300-person room. I can get 50 to 100 people in there, and they still have social distancing.
But you can do 300 there. Then there's there's a circle of hallways in here where you can.
I think the fire marshal said 450 people, 459, something.
Yeah, because I was going to say your kitchen's huge too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys haven't been here, I'm going to invite you to come up here, get with Charlie, take a tour. You guys definitely need to come. When's the next?
The next event, well.
What's the one in January?
The one in January will be the 21st.
Okay.
And that is what's called a member spotlight night. We serve cocktails and snacks, and people can come visit as my guest. They just need to say at the front desk, I saw Steve on a podcast or heard him on the radio, and they can come in as my guest, check the place out, and they'll see case studies of current deals. Everything from 500-unit apartment complexes to 1 million square feet of self-storage to 100 mobile home park, whatever. And they can see exactly what we're doing and see if they want to get involved.
There are some heavy hitters that are here in this academy, though.
Yes.
Because you mentioned a name. You said Kaylee McKinnon.
Yeah, Kaylee, the apartment queen.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that you might be familiar with, might not be familiar with. Kaylee's out of Dallas. She comes here to this meeting. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of options out there for everyone, but I think that this one is a really good option because these are people that I would say that are, I feel like I do a good job at what I do, but these people are better. Like, they've got systems and processes that I want to learn from. So if I'm willing to do it, I think you guys should be willing to do it too. This was my show this is our first show on Nailed It, powered by the Real Wealth Academy and the Real Wealth Radio Network. So if you guys have any more information, hit up me or Steve. We'd be glad to see you and talk to you at the next event, which is January the 22nd.
Yeah, January 22nd.
And we'll see you then. Thank you.